What happens if a customer at your business later files a lawsuit against your business claiming that they contracted COVID-19 while patronizing your business? Is there insurance coverage for that? Welcome to the How Insurance Works podcast. If we have not yet met here, my name is Mike McGilvery. I'm a second-generation licensed property and casualty insurance broker and agent at Shaw, Moses, Mendenhall & Associates in Southern California. My goal is to help educate and inform on various aspects of insurance and the insurance industry. The content in this podcast should not be considered insurance advice and is for general informational purposes only. Insurance forms and endorsements vary based on insurance company changes, in addition dates, regulations, court decisions, and state jurisdictions, so please consult with your agent for further advice. Now, the topic on this week's podcast is very similar to the topic on last week's podcast. This is You Gave Me COVID Part 2. Last week, we examined a situation where somebody personally sues you alleging that you gave them COVID-19, and we explored whether you might have coverage in your personal liability, which would be in your homeowner's policy or condo owner's policy. This week, we're going to explore the business side, where if a customer that visits your business files a lawsuit later on alleging that they contracted COVID-19 while patronizing your business, do you have coverage in your business owner's policy? Now, I do want to preface that only the insurance company can tell you whether a claim is going to be accepted or denied. I myself, as an insurance agent or broker, can't tell any of my clients whether a claim is going to be accepted or denied. What I can do is help you interpret the language in your insurance policies, and I can show you what exclusions to look for in your insurance policies and what coverage line items to look for. We're going to do just that with a business owner's policy. And we're going to show you where to look in a situation where somebody alleges that they contracted COVID while patronizing your business and whether you have coverage in your business owner's policy. We want to talk about one exclusion in particular. Now, last week, we did talk about two things on the personal side. One, we looked at the definition of bodily injury. The reason we did that is because bodily injury also refers to sickness or illness, and that's where COVID-19 fits in. And many insurance policies have a similar definition of bodily injury. That's the first thing we looked at. Second is we looked at the exclusions in the personal liability policies, and we used a couple as examples. It's always important to look at the exclusions in your liability. We're going to do the same thing here for a business owner's policy. Now, you can also watch, if you go to our website, www.howinsuranceworks.co, we post videos of all of the podcasts. Last week, we showed actual policy language on the personal liability side. We're going to do the same this week with the business owner's policy, and I'm going to show the actual exclusion that I want you to look for in your business owner's policy up on the screen. And whether or not you have coverage if somebody alleges they contracted COVID-19 at your business, as with many things in insurance, is going to depend on the policies themselves and the exclusions and the language. But I'll give you one big clue. And if you read your business owner's policy and you go to your exclusions, there is one exclusion to look out for, and that is called the communicable disease exclusion. Specifically on the top right of the page, it'll say commercial general liability, and it'll say CG 21320509. The only numbers to pay attention there are the last four, 05 and 09. 05 and 09 means this particular form came out in May of 2009. Now, the other letters in that just refer to a commercial general liability policy and what specific insurance category and what endorsement. But this is an exclusion that came out in May of 2009. It is called the communicable disease exclusion. It is very broad, and chances are if this is in your business owner's policy, you likely may not have coverage. I'm going to quote from this, and again, we're going to show it on our video. Visit howinsuranceworks.co. You can watch the video and see what this actual exclusion looks like. I'm going to quote, commercial general liability coverage part. A, the following exclusion is added to paragraph 2, exclusions of section 1, coverage A, bodily injury and property damage liability, end quote. So what they're saying here is this exclusion is being added to the other exclusions that fall under bodily injury and property damage liability. Continuing on with the exclusion, quote, 2, exclusions. This insurance does not apply to communicable disease, bodily injury or property damage arising out of the actual or alleged transmission of a communicable disease. The exclusion applies even if the claims against an insured allege negligence or other wrongdoing in the A, supervising, hiring, employing, training, or monitoring of others that may be infected with and spread a communicable disease. B, testing for a communicable disease. C, failure to prevent the spread of disease. Or D, failure to report the disease to authorities, end quote. So what they're telling you here essentially is that if there is any transmission of any communicable disease, even if it is through negligence, then coverage is excluded. This is the very broad communicable disease exclusion. Now, there have been discussions that if a business is following CDC guidelines and doing everything to try to prevent the spread of the disease, what about that situation? Well, again, this exclusion would apply because under communicable disease C, it's very clear that failure to prevent the spread of disease is an exclusion. So even with negligence, when this communicable disease exclusion is in the policy, it is very broad and it is likely going to exclude any coverage for any patron that comes into your business and filing a lawsuit claiming they contracted COVID-19 at your business. This exclusion is probably not going to provide coverage, and it's due to this exclusion. Now, what about in the case that it's a frivolous or fraudulent lawsuit and it's groundless, baseless, and has no basis at all? In order for an insurance company to defend you, remember, it has to be covered in the policy. There's been a lot of discussion about, well, but even if I don't have coverage in the policy, doesn't the insurance company still have a duty to defend me? And yes, they do, but it still has to be covered in the policy. So if this communicable disease exclusion is in your business owner's policy, it is likely that if somebody sues you and alleges they contracted COVID-19 at your place of business, that your insurance coverage would not respond. Now, if you do have a business owner's policy that does not have this exclusion and that does not have any particular exclusion for communicable disease, it is possible that you may have coverage in that situation. And if you do have coverage in that situation in the policy, the insurance company also, this is where they do have a duty to defend you. If the lawsuit is frivolous, baseless, groundless, then they do have a duty to defend you. So again, just like we talked about with the personal line side and the personal liability, when it comes to our business or business owner's policy, like with many things in insurance, it depends on the policy and the policy language. But if you look at your business owner's policy and you look for this communicable disease exclusion, that is going to give you a big clue as to whether your insurance policy might provide coverage if somebody sues you claiming that they contracted COVID-19 at your business. So I hope that podcast is helpful. Please feel free to reach out to me with any comments or questions. You can reach me at mikemac@howinsuranceworks.co. That's mikemac@howinsuranceworks.co. You can also visit us at www.howinsuranceworks.co. We post videos of all of these podcasts, and anytime we reference policy language, we like to show those on the screen to show you and demonstrate so you can read along with the language. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.